The relationship between the rise of Nimrod and the garments of skin which God made for Adam and Eve. Welcome to the Way of the Cross channel. In this channel, we deal with biblical issues which are least expounded and also with history on those issues which would help anyone join the dots while reading the scriptures. Welcome and join us. Please do not forget to subscribe. We will be very grateful. Take whatever we say with a pinch of salt. But please go and do your own research to see if it's true or not. Please write your comments below. We will appreciate it. In this video, we are going to learn about Nimrod and how he became king. This will prepare us to tackle the issue of creation of Babel, since he was the king of the whole earth at the time. When we examine the post-flood genealogical records of Genesis 10, we note that the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Mizraim became the Egyptians. No one is sure where Put went to live, and it is obvious who the Canaanites were. Cush lived in the land of Shinar, which most scholars consider to be Sumer. There developed the first civilization after the flood. The sons of Shem the Semites were also mixed, to some extent, with the Sumerians. We suggest that Sumerian Kish, the first city established in Mesopotamia after the flood, took its name from the man known in the Bible as Cush. First, what does the name Nimrod mean? It comes from the Hebrew verb merid, meaning rebel. The meaning then is the rebel. Thus Nimrod may not be the character's name at all. It is more likely a derisive term of a type, a representative, of a system that is epitomized in rebellion against the Creator, the one true God. Rebellion began soon after the flood as civilizations were restored. At that time this person became very prominent. Anyway, let us investigate Nimrod carefully. We will use the book of Jasher, which the Bible refers to us to read to get more information about the events of the time. Joshua 10 verse 13 posits, "Is not this written in the book of Jasher?" This is also insisted in 2 Samuel 1 verse 18, which also chimes, "Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher." We will now carefully go through the history of Nimrod according to book of Jasher chapter 7:23-48. From here we learn the following. Cush the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, "At that time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against God. And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. And the garments of skin which God made for Adam and his wife, when they went out of the garden, were given to Cush. For after the death of Adam and his wife, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Jared, and when Enoch was taken up to God, he gave them to Methuselah, his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them to the ark, and they were with him until he went out of the ark. However, in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah his father, and he took them and hid them from his brothers. Concurrently, when Ham begot his firstborn Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers, and when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him, and Nimrod grew up, and when he was 20 years old he put on those garments. The result was instantaneous. Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and God gave him might and strength, and he was a mighty hunter in the earth, he was a mighty hunter in the field, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before the Lord. And Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies round about. And the Lord delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hands, and God prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon earth. Therefore it became current in those days, when a man ushered forth those that he had trained up for battle, he would say to them, like God did to Nimrod, who was a mighty hunter in the earth, and who succeeded in the battles that prevailed against his brethren, that he delivered them from the hands of their enemies, so may God strengthen us and deliver us this day. And when Nimrod was 40 years old, at that time there was a war between his brethren and the children of Japheth, so that they were in the power of their enemies. And Nimrod went forth at that time, and he assembled all the sons of Cush and their families, about 460 men, and he hired also from some of his friends and acquaintances about 80 men, and begave them their hire, and he went with them to battle, and when he was on the road, Nimrod strengthened the hearts of the people that went with him. And he said to them, "Do not fear, neither be alarmed, for all our enemies will be delivered into our hands, and you may do with them as you please. And all the men that went were about 500, and they fought against their enemies, and they destroyed them and subdued them, and Nimrod placed standing officers over them in their respective places. And he took some of their children as security, and they were all servants to Nimrod and to his brethren, and Nimrod and all the people that were with him turned homeward. And when Nimrod had joyfully returned from battle, after having conquered his enemies, all his brethren, together with those who knew him before, assembled to make him king over them, and they placed the regal crown upon his head. And he set over his subjects and people princes, judges, and rulers, as is the custom amongst kings. And he placed Terah, father to Abraham, the son of Nahor, the prince of his host, and he dignified him and elevated him above all his princes. And whilst he was reigning according to his heart's desire, after having conquered all his enemies around, he advised with his counselors to build a city for his palace, and they did so. And they found a large valley opposite to the east, and they built him a large and extensive city. And Nimrod called the name of the city that he built Shinar, for the Lord had vehemently shaken his enemies and destroyed them. And Nimrod dwelt in Shinar, and he reigned securely, and he fought with his enemies, and he subdued them, and he prospered in all his battles, and his kingdom became very great. And all nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him, and they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became their lord and king, and they all dwelt with him in the city at Shinar. And Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were all under his power and counsel. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. But Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord, and he was wicked than all the men that were before him, from the days of the flood until those days. And he made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed down to them, and he rebelled against the Lord, and taught all his subjects and the people of the earth his wicked ways. And Mardon his son was more wicked than his father. And every one that heard of the acts of Mardon the son of Nimrod would say, concerning him, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness. Therefore it became a proverb in the whole earth, saying, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness, and it was current in the words of men from that time to this.
Nimrod, grandson of Ham, son of Noah, was the real founder of the Babylonian system that has gripped the world ever since, the system of organized competition, of man-ruled governments and empires, based upon the competitive and profit-making economic system. Nimrod built the Tower of Babel, the original Babylon, ancient Nineveh, many other cities. He organized the world's first kingdom. From many ancient writings, considerable is learned of this man, who started the great organized worldly apostasy from God that has dominated this world until now. Nimrod was so evil, it is said he married his own mother, whose name was Semiramis. After Nimrod's untimely death, his so-called mother-wife, Semiramis, propagated the evil doctrine of the survival of Nimrod as a spirit being. She claimed a full-grown, evergreen tree sprang overnight from a dead tree stump, which symbolized the springing forth unto new life of the dead Nimrod. On each anniversary of his birth, she claimed, Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts upon it. December 25th was the birthday of Nimrod. This is the real origin of the Christmas tree. Through her scheming and designing, Semiramis became the Babylonian Queen of Heaven, and Nimrod, under various names, became the divine Son of Heaven. Through the generations, in this idolatrous worship, Nimrod became the false Messiah, son of Baal the sun god. In this false Babylonian system, the mother and child, Semiramis and Nimrod reborn, became chief objects of worship. This worship of mother and child spread over the world. The names varied in different countries and languages. In Egypt, it was Isis and Osiris. In Asia, it was Cybele and Dioeus. In pagan Rome, she was Fortuna and Jupiter and Mary and child Jesus in the Catholic Church. This is also true in Greece, China, Japan, and Tibet. There was to be found the counterpart of the Madonna, long before the birth of Christ. Thus, during the 4th and 5th centuries, when the pagans of the Roman world were accepting the new popular Christianity by hundreds of thousands, carrying their old pagan customs and beliefs along with them, merely cloaking them with Christian-sounding names. The Madonna, Mary, and mother and child idea also became popularized, especially at Christmas time. Every Christmas season you will hear sung and chanted dozens of times the hymn Silent Night, Holy Night, with its familiar mother and child theme. We, who have been born in such a Babylonian world, reared and steeped in these things all our lives, have been taught to revere these things as holy and sacred. We never questioned to see where they came from, whether they came from the Bible or from pagan idolatry. We are shocked to learn the truth. Some, unfortunately, take offense at the plain truth. But God commands his faithful ministers, "Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression." Isaiah 58 verse 1. Shocking as these facts are, they are the plain facts of history and the Bible. The real origin of Christmas goes back to the ancient Babylon. It is bound up in the organized apostasy with which Satan has gripped a deceived world these many centuries. In Egypt, it was always believed that the son of Isis, Egyptian name for Queen of Heaven, was born December 25th. Paganism celebrated this famous birthday over most of the known world for centuries before the birth of Christ. December 25th is not the birthday of Jesus, the true Christ. The apostles and early true church never celebrated Christ's birthday at any time. There is no command or instruction to celebrate it in the Bible. Rather, the celebrating of birthdays is a pagan, not a Christian custom, believe it or not. Thus the ancient idolatrous Chaldean mysteries, founded by this wife of Nimrod, have been handed down through the pagan religions under new Christian-sounding names. Conversely, another peculiar pagan belief is about Lupercus. He was a hunter of wolves, Latin lupus is wolf, associated with the Roman god Faunus, god of agriculture and fertility. Since Rome took its gods from those it conquered, we can trace Faunus to its Greek equivalent, Pan, god of woods, fields, and flocks. The ancients pictured both of these mythological beings as having a human torso, but legs, horns, and ears of goats. This fits nicely with the fact that they sacrificed goats and used thongs from their skin to whip women during this feast. The Bible often compares God's people to sheep while frequently linking Satan with goats. Pan can be traced to the Phoenician sun god Baal, also a god of fertility and nature. We can make a strong case that Baal is none other than Nimrod. In Genesis 10 verse 9, Moses describes Nimrod as a mighty hunter. In the days after the flood, animals multiplied rapidly and caused fear among the people. Nimrod grew powerful because of his ability to fight the wild animals. Tradition says that he roamed as far as Italy to hunt wolves. Valentine comes also into play here. The word derives from the Latin valens, meaning strong, powerful, and mighty. Our word valiant, courageous, heroic, also comes from this root. These are apt descriptions of Nimrod. In a sense, he was the people's Valentine. Wow! That was astounding and frightening. Anyway, this is the end of the video, albeit we will cover what took place in Babel in another video. Please subscribe to this channel for similar videos. Have a good day.